At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service, all at a fair price. We do what we say and we stand by our work. A&A Paving brings you 2 decades worth of solid asphalt paving experience and a solid reputation in the pavement construction, repair, and maintenance industry. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944. Founder Abraham Penn taught a valuable lesson that has been part of a tradition since 1919 when he said, "I'd rather make a friend than make a sale." For more than 90 years, Puritan has been making friends as a unique family-owned company right here in Cape Cod. At Puritan Cape Cod on 199 Main Street, as well as Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis, you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment, and much more. Puritan Cape Cod, 548-0116, or PuritanCapeCod.com.
Welcome you all to the August 17th meeting of this Board of Selectmen in Falmouth, and invite you to say the Pledge of Allegiance with us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any announcements? Okay, the item on our agenda today is a discussion among the board members on the proposed Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Development of 556 Main Street.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Since I am an elected member of the Barnstable County Board of Regional Commissioners, I have had that, I have been on the board since 2008. And in 2010, the commissioners asked me and appointed me to be their representative on the Cape Cod Commission. So I have been serving in that capacity since 2010. And because I was assigned to the subcommittee to review the Marriott proposal, I am therefore going to recuse myself from this discussion tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just so everyone's aware, the full commission will be meeting on Thursday at 3 o'clock, the Assembly of Delegates at the District Court, to hear the recommendation from the subcommittee on the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Development on the corner of Lantern Lane and Main Street. And the purpose of this discussion tonight is to see if the board would like to draft a letter expressing what our views are on this project. The commission will be limited at this point on the area of historic preservation / community character. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to find out from my fellow board members if you feel that you've heard enough information by attending the hearings, by the emails we've received, by public communication, so this can be a discussion amongst us. So that's my first question, is do you feel that you have enough information at this point?
I haven't read anything in emails this week, which all of us know there have been quite a few. And there might have been one or two that touched on some different aspects of the rulings in Falmouth over the years. And then there was some discussion about the planning board, which I don't believe is also an area we discussed. But overall, the emails I received this week, which were many, basically it's the same view of the location.
Right.
So
my question right now is, as opposed to whether we're going to have any public comment, does the board feel that they need to have public comment on this issue tonight?
Well, I always like public comment, so after everything that I just said, I think one of the worst things that happens to any of our residents is when you're shut down. And I think a little bit of patience, if we do hear the same thing, I think it would just take the patience that we would have, and I do believe that a group of this size, we could hear something new. So I would agree to having open remarks.
Mr. Patterson?
I disagree with Rebecca on this point. We've heard nothing but opposition to this development. I think that I've only heard from one person in the last 3 months that was actually in favor of it, and I think it was a misguided expectation that somehow the Marriott Corporation was actually building this and not a franchise developer. And so it's a clear consensus in my mind in this community. So I don't feel like there's really any need for us to hear any more. I'm clearly in opposition, and all the people that I talked to 6 months ago who thought it might be appropriate for economic vitality have changed their minds entirely, as I have, when I saw the architectural rendering of the building and what it's likely to be as an entity on East Main Street. It's just not appropriate, and I agree with everybody.
I take the same view as Mr. Patterson. I have read every single email. I've attended most of the hearings. I've looked at the petition. I've highlighted and underlined all of the specific concerns, none of which have been addressed by the developer at all, or if, in a small measure, not at all to the level that is necessary. And I think that this board, in taking this step in terms of publicizing a view, just, has a specific role. And I think if we start to take testimony, we dilute that role and really perhaps run over other boards, which might cause, the issue to have some, some more problems than would be fair at this point to the community. I think if we leave, the process, where it is in terms of testimony, I think that's the most proper thing, and then I think this board would just simply state its view.
My curiosity, and I'll exercise my authority as chair, is I'm not offering you a chance to speak, but is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this plan? Is there anyone who, if they were given the opportunity, would want to speak in opposition to this plan? And one of my reasons for asking is I do want to honor the number of people who have shown up here, and if we're just going to have our deliberation without a chance for public comment, I at least want to have you have a chance to express your general views on it. And I do think, I understand Ms. Moffitt's thought about closing off the public comment and not giving a chance for people to speak, but we do have a large group here, and I also feel comfortable that I get the message. And
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'd also like a show of hands of anyone who is here on behalf of the developer, or works for the developer, or is taking notes on behalf of the developer. Thank you. No one.
The developer was offered to come and make a presentation to the board. They have declined to do so. They feel that their current litigation issue that they're in right now makes it a difficult situation for them to be here. Okay. So what action would the board like to take?
I move that the Falmouth Board of Selectmen take a position in opposition to this particular development of Marriott Hospitality LLC, I believe is the legal name.
Okay. We have a motion?
I'd like to amend that just a little bit to
Go
ask that the board authorize the town manager to write such a position to the Cape Cod Commission to be executed by the chair and the town manager.
I accept that as a variation, so
Okay.
let's go with that.
I will accept a second, then we'll have a vote. I will then ask that Julie and I be given at least 5 or 6 strong points that you want to make sure are in that letter. And I think there are some issues that are not as appropriate for us to deal with, because if the process goes forward, there'll be issues that the planning board will need to deal with, issues the Board of Appeals needs to, the zoning board needs to deal with, and it's not completely appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to step our feet into those waters. But I think there are places where, as the chief executive body, we can express what we've heard to be the views of the town to the commission at this time.
I'll second Sam's motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So, a little bit of letter drafting as a group right now, please. Yep.
I might suggest that we start with the Historical Commission's letter to us, because I thought they made two really strong points, and it was a joint agreement among that commission. So I think those are where I would start,
The
at
difficulty
least.
of that letter is it was not voted at their meeting.
Well,
It will be on Wednesday, I understand, from the chair.
okay, but I would still cite those
What's the
2
major point
points.
you'd like to?
Okay, the major point is that, let's see, I'm sorry, let me get to the appropriate sentence. That it's not in the historical character of Main Street, and it's certainly not in the character of the Village Green, which is at the other end of Main Street. And one of our strategic goals basically is to try to come up with a uniform character along our entire Main Street.
And what would you say is the reason, in what way is it not in historical character? I want to give them the specifics that they can't fight against.
I think it's, for me personally, it's the volume of the building. It is so imposing to anybody that gets off of the front view and actually takes a look at the depth of the building off of Main Street. And then it's just, I guess, dominance of the Lantern Lane community that's behind it. When I was first given the rendering of the full scale of the building, not just the front, it became obvious to me that this is not in character with Falmouth on Main Street. Maybe there's another location in town where it might fit or wouldn't be so out of place.
Would you include both physical volume and a number of rooms? And those are sort of two different volumes. One is the number of bedrooms and one is the physical size.
Well, I don't want to tie it to the number of rooms because that's not ultimately what bothers me. I have no problem with people doing business. If they can develop a hotel with the same number of businesses, but it doesn't impose on the nature of Main Street, I'm not going to limit them to the number of rooms. I don't think we have any basis for doing that.
Okay. I'm not going to do this as a vote as much as a consensus, so if people are in any way in opposition to the ideas that are being put forward, please let us know. So the first is not an historical character of Main Street and Village Green due to the physical volume and dominance of the Lantern Lane community. Yep.
I want to raise a little bit of a different point, quoting from a point that Deborah Siegel has repeatedly made it at the meetings, and just looking at your email, Deborah. With respect to the zoning, the commission staff in their comments has said that the proposal fits with the zoning. And Chapter 240 of the zoning code for the business redevelopment district has a purpose of promoting revitalization of commercial centers using mixed-use redevelopment, including retail, housing, restaurant, community service uses with housing, second-floor apartments, etc. And I'll just give you this because I think that was another point that was made by the community.
Other points you'd like to add?
I think that the first time we saw a rendering of the design that they were going to do, I think we were aghast at looking at that because it did not follow any of Falmouth's architecture of our other buildings. And I thought that issue itself was very loud to us in this town, that there wasn't a regard for what we cherish as that Falmouth look. And if you would take the hotel that we have looked at, it could go anywhere in any town. And several times in the emails that I received, that was the continuous theme. We're a special town. We require for everyone to follow as Falmouth has developed. And the idea that that end of town was going to be developed, never in my mind thought it was just going to be a commercial hotel dropped in there. I think it was a signal to us that there wasn't much thought given about the respect we give them.
Now, I know that this is not what the commission is considering on Thursday, but I do think it's appropriate for us to just discuss the traffic to a certain extent, that the idea that this is not going to increase traffic in a place that already is very, very busy, as we all know, no matter what kind of informal traffic analysis is done. I know it's outside of our purview, but I'm going to suggest that we bend that a little bit and make that statement so they hear it over and over again.
And I think it is a little bit, emblematic of the standard the commission is reviewing in terms of the character of Falmouth. And Tom Pucci made a point in an email, having visited Spring Hill Suite Hotel in Memphis, and he said it was really dangerous because the young folks that are valets run in between cars back and forth from a street, paying little attention to the traffic. And I think that the concept that Marriott is proposing is really that the development eats up that entire part of Main Street, because it will be on both sides. So by extension, they have a direct impact on the character of Falmouth's Main Street. They are subsuming it within the design of the hotel, and that is a really major character issue. It's a liability issue. It's a danger for children and families to as part of their service, have folks running across the street. Of course, it will impact traffic, which is a big concern, but I also think it's a major impact on the character.
A fifth point, or is 4 enough?
I thought there was one of the meetings when they were talking about the number of visits that the antique shop had, and there was some ridiculous number in the 800 visits a day or something. And then they told us how many cars that we had on our street in order to get those 800 visits. And I think right there we ought to think about the information they had about us or about our town. And the part that I noticed right now was there was no one that gavelled and said no laughing and no talking. So it was a point. That's right. And I thought that was really very hard for us sitting in the audience to listen to many of the things that were being said. And you had to either gasp or you had to laugh because it was most appropriate to laugh. And I think that really started to tell me that this company, as I say again, had no regard for Falmouth. It's an address, it's a piece of property, and that's where their hotel was going to be. So once you followed that trail for a period of time, you really got into the feeling of we're not being given any regard. Now, can you tell that to the commission?
Well, just to add to that, because it's based on essentially, a dictionary of a traffic number. There was no traffic study. And I think the point to be made is, a while ago, the commission really went against a proposed development of Lowe's, because whatever the specifics and requirements and however the boxes were checked, it just really wasn't the right thing for that Lower Cape community. And I see a lot of parallels here.
think we have significant marching orders to put into this letter, which we will, if we're authorized to do so, we'll send off. I'd rather get it to the Cape Cod Commission earlier than trying to send it out to you for approval. And
No, the intent of my motion was that the vote
right.
be of the authorization for the town manager and you to send it.
And I would just second that. I think this is strong enough. And I think if you make it too early, it just may not have the same impact.
do you feel that you and I have clarity on this issue to come up with that?
I believe so, Mr. Chairman, yes, and members of the board.
All right, then we will proceed and get that to them as soon as we can tomorrow. Again,
Can I ask one just sort of nuts and bolts question?
sure. You'll have to come to the microphone.
Obviously,
You have to come.
Tell people to email their comments by a certain day.
Mark Finneran, Precinct 6. It's readily evident to anyone that the town is against this proposal. I was just wondering if anyone had made an effort to try to persuade them to purchase the hotel across from the Dairy Queen, which my understanding is he's desperate to sell it. It has access front and back. It's further down East Main Street or whatever, but seems like a better spot.
Allison.
Allison Leshin. I totally thank you for the vote that you just took. It's fabulous. I think all the points you made were great, but I think there's another category of things that would be really helpful if you would say. So the historic preservation community character is one of the things that they're judging this on. The other is the benefits versus detriments to the community. The commission staff has listed benefits as well as detriments. I think you've hit the detriments pretty well. I think what's important is to say these benefits are not benefits that we want. First of all, we don't think they're real. And second of all, it's not enough for us, the community, for you as the elected officials of the community that it is supposedly benefiting. We don't care about them enough to want this. So I think somehow conveying that it would be good, and I'll leave it to you how you do that. Thank you.
Thank you. You shouldn't take public comments. Doug. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Let's close it.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have opened the door.
That's right. It's not really.
No, because it really, I'm not.
What about
Yes, I would sit
emailing
down.
comments?
If you have any comments that you feel are essential to get in the letter, please do so by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Motion?
So we've already approved, the vote we had was to send the letter. And I was not going to take a vote on what the items were. We have had a suggestion for a fifth item. Is there any, is the board?
My motion did not include any specific voting. It was just to give authority to you and the town manager to put the letter together.
Right, and we've passed that, But do we want to put in a reference, as has been suggested, about the lack of perceived benefits?
Well, I think that is the net of what we're saying, is that basically we don't feel that the benefits that they're offering are sufficient to compensate for the sacrifices we would have to make.
Or denial of the benefits, really. I mean, there are two different issues. One is, yes, there are benefits, they just aren't enough. Or actually, those benefits really aren't there.
Well, and the record is clear, and the staff has all of the specifics of all of the testimony, and those will be included as well.
Rebecca?
I think talking about the detriments in our letter may have some weight to it. I think that should be discussed.
No, and that's really what our,
Okay,
I think our first four issues are.
okay. So you are going to put that in?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.